This is the all-new Toyota Camry Hybrid. It's as comfortable as a regular Camry, it's as efficient as a regular Camry, and it's as practical as a regular Camry. So, what sets it apart? Let's find out. Now, before moving forward, I'd like to start this review by clearing up some misconceptions. Here in the UAE, the Camry has earned a bad name for being a taxi. But let me tell you what that really means. Taxis are run between 18 to 20 hours a day, day after day, week after week, for years on end, meaning they need to be extremely reliable, and should they break down, they need to be easy and affordable to fix. The fact that so many taxi companies across the country rely on Camrys proves that they are efficient and extremely affordable to run. So the next time you try dissuading a friend, colleague, acquaintance, or maybe even a family member from buying the Camry because it is a taxi, stop and think twice. You might have just paid it a huge compliment. With that little rant out of the way, let's look at the design. Now, there aren't any drastic changes between the standard car and this hybrid model. It still looks very sporty with this big slatted grille. It's got LED headlights and a nice set of 18-inch wheels. Subtle differences are the blue coloring in the logos, blue coloring on the door trim, and hybrid badges on the fenders and boot lid that make it different. On the inside, the Camry Hybrid gets the same great design found in the standard car. The swooping dashboard and center console design gives the impression of a driver-focused cabin and integrates all the buttons and controls very neatly. For instance, the 8-inch infotainment screen forms part of the design itself and isn't jutting out of the dashboard, as we've seen in many newer cars, including its competitors. Equipment-wise, the Camry Hybrid fares moderately well. It's got a nice wireless charging tray that folds away when not in use, dual-zone air conditioning system, push-button start, a sunroof, a rear power sunshade, and a rear camera, which isn't bad at all. It's just that if you were to compare it to any of its other rivals, you'd notice it's missing things such as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, adaptive cruise control, and blind spot monitoring, to name a few. Despite not offering as much space as the all-new Honda Accord, the back seats of the Camry Hybrid are very comfortable. There's rear AC vents, charging ports, cup holders, and with the batteries relocated from the boot to under the rear seat, boot space has increased to an impressive 428 litres, a big jump from the 371 litres in the previous model. Now, with all the ancillary stuff out of the way, let's talk about how it drives. This being the hybrid model, gets a 2.5-litre petrol engine under the hood and an electric motor too. What's instantly noticeable is that it's a lot quieter and smoother than the standard car, and that's because most of the time it's using the battery and electric motor, meaning the engine is completely switched off. Compared to the standard car, there are three main differences with this hybrid model. Firstly, it's more powerful. That's because the electric motor gives it 37 more horsepower, taking total output up to 215 horsepower. Secondly, it gets a 50-litre fuel tank as opposed to a 60-litre tank in the standard car. And lastly, it gets a CVT transmission that helps it save fuel as opposed to a 6-speed automatic in the standard car. Speaking of saving fuel, I'd like to highlight that the Camry Hybrid runs on regular petrol. It doesn't require any special type of fuel or anything like that, and I'm just clarifying this because I recently had someone ask me that very question. You fill it up at the petrol station and drive, just like you would with any other car. The only difference is you'll notice just how fuel efficient it really is. To give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about, the Camry Hybrid claims to average 26 kilometers per litre, and while that's a figure you could probably achieve in ideal conditions, even in the real world, as I'm driving right now, I'm averaging 20 kilometers per litre, and that's amazing. Think about it this way. If you're someone like me who does approximately 60 kilometers per day to the office and back home, all you'd need is 3 liters of fuel to cover that distance in the Camry Hybrid. 3! Just like in the standard Camry, there are 3 drive modes: Eco, Normal and Sport. But the addition in the hybrid model is an EV mode. Although you can drive the car on battery power alone, there's no cable or plugging the car in to charge it up. Instead, it charges while you drive, while coasting or braking, and you can see that on a gauge in the instrument cluster. The Toyota Camry Hybrid. It looks good, it's extremely fuel efficient, and I personally like it very, very much. But just like with every other car out there, there's pros and there's cons. Let me start by talking about the pros. Firstly, since neither the Accord, Altima nor Mazda 6 offer hybrid variants, or at least in the UAE, you can say that the Camry Hybrid sits in a class of its own. Secondly, and this is a really important one, Toyota offers an 8-year unlimited kilometer warranty on the batteries of this car, which is sure to give potential buyers plenty of peace of mind. Thirdly, and this is related to servicing costs, you'll be happy to learn that Al Futtaim Toyota charges nothing extra for the hybrid, meaning should you buy a standard Camry or the hybrid model, servicing costs remain the same. But let's leave the pros aside and talk about the con. There's just one, but it's a very big one: the price. This full option Camry Hybrid costs a jaw-dropping 33,600 dirhams more than the non-hybrid 2.5 litre full option model, and that's flatly unacceptable. In fact, if you did the math, you'd discover that you needed to drive this hybrid model for 318,000 kilometers before you even got close to breaking even. So will buying the hybrid save you money? It doesn't seem so. Thanks for watching.